Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Michaela Peters. I seriously hate this whole hair thing right now, but whatever. Okay, so today, I wake up, internet email. I wake up at let's mute this. All weird hours of the night at this point due to the fact that my neck hurts because I now have an inflamed lymph node, which is really disgusting and you can see it. And we had really poor air quality last week, and I partially wonder if it's due to that. I don't know, but whatever. Hopefully it will go away and I'll stop being sick. I basically canceled all my plans and really tried to do nothing just to see if it will make me feel better. We'll see if we can get there. But anyway, the weird middle of the night thought I had for making a video, and I think I'll just do an English one today and a Russian one tomorrow and keep doing that because the creative energy, it's not that it's not there, but it's being spent on other things right now. And the clerical energy or the administrative energy for all this other stupid crap I have to do right now, whatever. But essentially, I want to talk about how to make friends because this feels like a really stupid video to make, but at the same time, I've really thought a lot about how I know that the reason people visit my channel is they feel some sort of special connection with me, and they almost feel like I'm a person who they're friends with or something. This is literally defined as a parasocial relationship, but that's fine. But I thought maybe I could talk about some of my strategies for being so well liked and how I make friends so easily, because as my friend said the other day, I'm not at a shortage of friends. It's first important to understand that I do, how can I say this? Assign the term friend very generously, very liberally to a lot of people, and maybe they don't feel the same way back to me, and that's totally fine with me. It can be your perception, I don't care, but I like to think everybody is my friend. Obviously, not everybody is your friend, and as my one friend always says, at least I think she's my friend. No, I'm kidding. She actually is. When people show you who they are, believe them. So I don't sit there and try to make everybody my friend if I feel like they're not a good friend. I've never really understood the whole thing about how people are like, oh, well, I'm just going to not be friends with this person. To me, it's really not that deep. It's more just about, you can just naturally fade away because, I don't know, it's just the relationship isn't serving you anymore, but it's not even about that. It doesn't even require conscious thought. To me, it's sort of all right, being around this person makes me tired, so I'm gonna cut back on that. It's the same thing where if it's hey, staying up till 3 a.m. is making me tired, maybe I'm gonna go to sleep earlier and reclaim my energy. I kind of feel that way about people too. There are some people who honestly, to me, just feel like energy vampires, and they make me completely exhausted. And, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably a lot of people, but I'm still gonna be nice and still try to be friends with those people. I'm just probably not gonna want to hang out with them as much. And even with people I do want to hang out with a lot, it's not even really necessarily I'm still dedicating a ton of time to them. I may not be, and the reason for that is because, unfortunately, as I say, homeostasis takes a lot of time. All right, not important. All the things brushing your teeth, cleaning, going to the bathroom, feeding yourself, sleeping, there's only so much energy that once you do all those things and you work full-time probably, that you have to dedicate towards friends. So to me, it's not really who you're choosing as a friend. I feel like I can be friends with somebody I haven't seen in 5 years. Not everybody feels that way, but that's up to you for how you define friend. But anyway, aside from this discussion, I want to talk about, what are things that make you well liked, or literally how do you make friends when you're feeling at a deficit for friends? Because I said, I really have the feeling that a lot of people are turning to this channel because they're feeling a deficit of connection, which probably implies a deficit of friends in their life. So part of this is definitely going to be being approachable, and to me, being yourself. It's I don't know if you've ever heard the quote, you may as well be yourself because everybody else is taken. I totally agree with this. It is definitely a lot easier to just be genuine, and then you don't really have to keep track of what version of yourself you were pretending to be around certain people. I mean, don't get me wrong, if there are certain things that I know certain friends are bothered by, I'm not really gonna care. Recently, one of my friends who has a child was telling me something, and I didn't really agree with it, but I also figured it just, wasn't worth the energy to try to, disagree with her openly because I knew it was going to bother her, and to me, it just, wasn't really that important. So maybe part of having friends is like breaking down your ego a little bit and understanding like you aren't the center of the universe. You are the center of the universe to yourself. Obviously, you need to take care of yourself. Like, everybody needs to survive somehow. But like, there are just a lot more important things or serious things going on than probably what's going on in your life. I mean, all you have to do is flip on the news to realize that, and that can definitely give you a lot of empathy, which I think is a big thing with making friends, is being empathetic towards other people, letting other people talk about their problems and not judging them for it. Like, look, I may internally judge people. I may think, okay, this is stupid, I don't get this, but at the same time, I would never say that out loud. And look, it's only natural you're going to have those thoughts because everybody's going to compare. One of the biggest challenges I've had since I've become a single parent is that, like, when people are having certain, like, relationship challenges, like romantically, or, okay, mostly that one, like, let's say interpersonal issues, I'm just like, okay, wow, this is, like, so, like, I don't want to say stupid, but, like, I'm like, this is so not serious, right? Like, it's like there are a lot bigger problems, like making sure you're not getting kicked out of your house or feeding your child, or, like, you know, more survival stuff. And I think definitely that survival attitude is something that kind of revisits my consciousness when I come back to the US, because it is naturally so much more difficult to survive here than in Finland. But, you know, anyway, so there's that. I will be honest, though, like, especially people who are very, like, emotionally intense or emotionally dysregulated, like, they make me very exhausted. And so if I have friends like this, I may just, like, again, limit contact with how much I'm spending time with them. But for the most part, again, this isn't really me talking about, like, this is supposed to be me talking about how to make friends. My point is, I will attract a lot of different people. I will attract these kinds of people I just described. I will attract people who are, like, more moderate in habits. I will attract people who are attracted to my emotional depth, quote unquote. I will attract people who are attracted to my empathy. But I now want to talk more about, like, strategies for actually, like, making friends. Nice, we had a disappearing video, which maybe tells me that I put too much information inside of that video. Whatever. Okay. So essentially what I started talking about was that being approachable is very important. I've made a lot of friends on public transportation. I can think of at least 2 instances where I've made friends with somebody on the Marshrutka and in Kyrgyzstan, and I recently made pretty good friends with this girl who lives in Helsinki now, and we met on the airplane going to Turkey, which is really random. And especially now that I have the baby, you know, people are like, oh, you have the baby, can I hold the baby? And I do let random people hold my baby, and people are like, oh, and I'm like, no, it's good to get her used to other people, and so she doesn't have stranger danger. Even though she did have stranger danger for a bit, but I think she got over it. Now it's more of when I leave the room, she gets all stressed out. Oh, I really don't even have that much time to keep recording this. I need to proceed with my other crap I need to get done. Okay, anyway. But, so, the other thing I started talking about that people, I think, discount too much is, like, humility. And I'm like, at this point, it feels really weird, like, bragging about how humble I am. Like, the humble brag, haha. Like, it really doesn't make sense. But, like, I have literally had people in front of me compliment how humble I am. Like, this was in Russian, so it's like, oh, Mikhaila is so smart and so good at speaking Russian, and, like, you know, she does all these cool things, like travel, and, like, but she's so humble, you know, that's why she's so great. And I'm like, okay, thanks. And the point that I'm trying to make with this is, as my dad always said to me, like, nice things about yourself are usually best said by other people. So my point is, like, bragging about yourself, trying to act like you're, like, better than other people, all of this makes you, like, not well received or well liked by other people. Like, people want to be, like, relatable and all this stuff. You know, and I think one of the reasons why, like, I like having a lot of friends is because, to me, like, friends, you don't have to, and people will disagree with this, but I don't think you exactly have to share, like, congruent values with your friends. I think it's very possible to, you know, have a lot of differences in opinion. I think when it comes to raising a child with somebody and marrying somebody and being stuck with them day in, day out, that's where these values might play a bit more of a role. But I think for just being friends with people, it's fine. I think you can have as many friends as you want. I think you can have as many different types of friends as you want. And personally, I just believe that all that's okay. But as I've said, or I've quoted this to somebody, in order to, like, make a friend, you have to be a friend. So part of it is, like, willing to, like, I don't want to say put yourself out for somebody, because I don't think it's important to do that per se, but to definitely, like, be nice to somebody and be helpful to them, and, like, you know, they're doing something nice for you, do something nice in return. I feel like at that point you're going to, like, attract people who are, like, honestly genuinely nice, and I feel like that's kind of what most people want. And people are like, oh, girls don't like nice guys, whatever. There is a whole other subsection of this related to romantic relationships that I, like, just don't even want to get into. This is, like, a psychology blah 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 rant that I just don't care to talk about right now. But in general, with making friends, generally the nicer you are, the kinder you are, the more approachable you are, the more humble you are. I think about the fruits of the Spirit that talks about in the Bible a lot: kindness, goodness, mildness, self-control. These are all things, being emotionally regulated, not freaking out on people. You're always going to have those friends who you kind of, vent to when you're upset about something, but, freaking out on, your friend for doing something stupid, just let it go. It's just not that important. I don't know. So, I think it's just, trying to be, a good Samaritan, just being nice and, being helpful, looking for ways to help other people. And, helping somebody doesn't have to be this big, sophisticated thing. Sometimes it can just be listening to somebody when they're, depressed and need to talk to somebody. And again, it's just, I think that these are all things that, make you well-liked and make it so that you can have friends and feel connected with people, because, one of the biggest concerns I always talk about on this channel is, again, like I mentioned, the parasocial relationship, people feeling disconnected, and I always want to take the time in my videos to encourage people to make sure they're connecting in real life and not just sitting in front of a computer watching me talk at them and watching whatever else on YouTube. I think that human connection is a really important part of, being happy and being healthy, and, enjoying time with those people is important. But I actually, this person who, shout out again to the Ron John Don guy, if I even said that correctly, there was, I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but this concept of, before you get into a relationship, are you financially stable? Are you whatever else stable? And all these things, the relationship credit or something, these things that you need to be before you enter into a relationship. I just feel the more of these things that you can meet in general, the more friends you're gonna be able to make and have and maintain, and I think the more joy it can bring to your life. I think for me, I really value and appreciate my relationships, and I'm willing to travel great distances and spend a lot of money and show up and be present as much as I can for very important things for these friends. The amount of long distance weddings I've gone to, it's at least 3, and it's probably more than that if I really thought hard about it. I went to one in Hawaii, Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, and so for me, it's just really important taking the time to really connect with people. So I don't think that making friends is that hard, and I know that maybe I have a special gift in terms of relating to people and whatnot. Email again. Oh, man, I really gotta check my email. But overall, I just think that, it is a skill that can be learned, but I think it's important to maintain good qualities about yourself, and honestly do whatever you need to do to feel good about yourself and have good self-worth, because the better your self-worth is, the nicer and the more pleasant you're going to be to interact with others. So, everybody try to be kind to yourself. I know it's hard, and try to be kind to others, because it's a lot easier to be kind to others when you're kind to yourself. Well, that's everything I have for today, and until next time, bye.